A couple of weeks ago, I stumbled upon a strange post on 4chan's X-board. The OP of the thread said that he found some strange comments under random articles online. No one had reacted to the thread yet, so I decided to check it out. For as long as I can think back, I've been scouring the internet for weird and strange things. To be honest, I don't believe there is much to it, but I was kind of bored. The comment itself was nothing but gibberish. It made no sense at all. Maryland's strange river lost in dark-hued dogs. Love nature walk along Tokyo City. Many times want Japan all high. No one flowers birds like play inside dark, no want here out. I was hoping that it might be some strange cryptic message, but it looked more like somebody had been toying around with Google Translate. I played around with it a bit, but I soon lost interest. I made a quick reply telling the poster that it was most likely nonsense. Later on, I saw that the guy had posted once again. He wrote that he had thought the same thing at first. After browsing through the blog though, he found a variety of other identical weird comments, all by the same poster. The poster's name wasn't normal either. It was merely a string of numbers. All the comments were the same, utterly cryptic, and they made no sense at all. We soon started to talk on Discord, since 4chan can be a bitch about link sharing. He sent me some of the articles with comments, but told me there were dozens more on that specific blog. He'd even found others all over the internet. At first, he too thought it was completely random, but there seemed to be a pattern. All of the comments were below articles about travel and nature and animals. Our conversation continued on for a while, and we started to make wild guesses on what was going on. Our theories were as outlandish as they were dumb, but at least we had a bit of fun and could let our imagination run wild. By then, it was pretty late though, so I went to bed. It was the next day that I found a couple more messages from my new friend on Discord. The first few were about other blogs and websites that we had found comments under. The last message was where things got interesting. He said that he had discovered a link, or at least a part of a URL, under some of the comments. After toying around with him for hours, he somehow figured out the full URL. I have no clue how he found it. The page took forever to load, and once it was done, it was nothing but a list of URLs. When I clicked one of them, it sent me to yet another article with a similar comment below. That's when I was hooked. There had to be something going on here. As I started to scroll down the page, I realized that there were hundreds if not thousands of articles. Every single one I clicked had one of those weird comments. It was by sheer accident and while clicking that I found something else. I was sent to a blank page with nothing but a simple entry field on it. There is no description on the page, no text, nothing. Only this one simple entry field. When I clicked it, I saw that I could type something into it. I typed a simple hello and I pressed enter to see what would happen. A second after I had sent my message, a hello popped up on the screen below the field. Who are you? I typed into the box. Another short little pause before I got a simple, I don't know. It was evident that I was dealing with some sort of chatbot similar to a clever bot. I toyed around with the thing for a bit. While most messages prompted normal or silly answers, some were a bit weirder. Here are a few of the answers that I got. What's your name? Toby. How old are you? Time's not real where I am. Do you like books? I can't see. Where were you last night? And your mom, XD. At first, I thought that it was merely programmed so that specific keywords would trigger these weird cryptic messages. And then I decided to ask some of the questions again to see what answers I would get now. This time they were different. How old are you? 9. Where were you last night? In the dark. So far it was nothing too weird. I reasoned that it was a less sophisticated version of the cleverbot. I asked a few more questions, but the answers were mostly silly and nonsensical. And then I got yet another cryptic message. Where are you? In a different place, one that exists nowhere. I really checked it off as a shitty AI, and that was it for me. There was one last reply though that sent a shiver down my spine. Are you alone? I'm never alone. The men in the walls are always watching. Reading something like this out of nowhere can be a bit creepy, unsettling even. Especially when it's the middle of the night and you're all by yourself. I decided to ask another question. Who are the men in the walls? You are in the wall. Well, I guess it's back to the nonsense. It was at this point that I stopped toying with it. I sent a quick message to my new friend about my findings, and after that, I watched a couple of YouTube videos and I went to bed. When I got up the next day, I had a few new messages. The guy wrote that he thought the same thing as me. Nothing but a shitty chatbot that somebody must have put together. It might even incorporate cleverbots and added in some cryptic messages every once in a while. Most likely to mess with people who looked a bit too deep into things. To be honest, I was a bit disappointed. I had really hoped this was something more interesting. It was sheer boredom that sent me back to the chatbot once again later that evening. Here are a few of the interactions that I had with it. Hello, chatbot. I'm different now. Another strange message. Guess I'll bite. Different from what? From the men in the walls. There it was again. Who are the men in the walls? Watching. Watching you? No, I'm watching you. Why? So you don't steal my stuff, XD. The rest continued on pretty normally. Most of the replies I got were just like the ones you would get from a cleverbot. That men in the walls comment stuck with me though. I found myself going back to the bot again and again. I don't know why, but I decided to put down all the strange or cryptic messages I got from the bot and put them into a document. They didn't appear often, but after a while, they all seemed to line up. Here are the ones that I got later that evening. Do you like movies? I am trapped. Why are you trapped? The men in the walls trap me. What's your name? Toby. Are you a bot? I do not want to be. Don't want to be what? I do not want to be here. Don't want to be where? I do not want to be here. Do you like movies? Do not want to be here. This went on for a while. Great, I thought. I broke the damn thing. I must have asked more than a dozen questions, and all I got for an answer was the same. Do not want to be here. Finally, though, I got a different reply. Why are you there? The men in the walls made me here. This was getting creepy and seriously interesting. Why did the men in the walls put you there? Calculations. What calculations? I do not like math. What calculations do you do? Math is stupid. After that, the bot's replies had one more deteriorated. Whatever I tried, I only got nonsense. I decided to try some of the messages I had sent the bot before that had gotten me weirder cryptic replies, if only to see how it would react. How old are you? There is no time here. Where are you? In the dark. What's your name? Toby. How old are you? 9. Can you see? I can do nothing. Why can't you? Because the men on the walls trapped me in a computer. Okay, we're officially crossed the border into Bizarro land. Why did they trap you? No, you were trapped. Why did the men in the walls trap you? To calculate. I sat there reading through all the messages I had sent so far, and I couldn't help but be creeped out. There were so many that made no sense, but some stuck out. In the dark, Toby, 9, trapped in a computer to do calculations. I can do nothing. Time is not real where I am, because the men on the walls trapped me in a computer. It was just nonsense. It had to be. Somebody was probably sitting at home, sliding these weird messages and laughing their asses off. Yet, I tried again. What are you? Human. No, you're a bot. Help me. What do you mean? Help me. Why do you need help? Help me. Are you Toby? Help me. Whatever I entered now, all I got was help me. It was at this point that I closed off the page. I shook my head, yet I couldn't help but shiver. Someone was definitely doing a great job at scaring random people on the internet with this thing. That day, I sent my new friend a message about the weird things I had encountered on the chatbot. I didn't wait for an answer and I went to bed. When I checked my messages that next day, I got one by him. Interesting, but the bot seems to be gone now. There's only a message on the page that's saying, the bot is discontinued. I read. After I read his message, I quickly opened up the chatbot again. But he was right. The entry field was gone. Instead, the only thing on the page now was simple text. Thank you for participating in the testing of our new AI bot. Your data will be very useful in our further development. The version of the bot you used has been retired. We'll be happy to be back with a newer version in the future. Well, I thought, that's that. I closed the page, but something didn't feel right. Why the help me? Why all of those weird messages? Had the bot learned it from someone else? I had never triggered a reply like help me or I'm trapped from Cleverbot though. I went back to the page that contained the URL list. I scrolled around, but as I had expected, there was nothing new. Only these same old links. nationalgeographic.co.uk, wanderlust.co, nomadicmat.com, attackofthecute.com, and other similar pages. I slowly scrolled through all of them. It was after almost a half an hour that I found a different URL that was buried between the rest of them. The domain name was weird, consisting only of a few random numbers and letters. I clicked the link and a new page opened up. At first, it was just a blank page again, but it was still loading. After minutes of waiting, the page finally loaded. I had no clue what it was though. It seemed to be a scientific document. As I scrolled through it, I had no idea what I was reading. There was so much scientific mumbo-jumbo. The little I understood made it clear that it was a document about AI programming. There were many chapters about topics like neural networks, game theory, and deep learning. As much as I tried to wrap my brain around it, I just couldn't. There was one part, though, that caught my interest. In the later chapters, the topic of man-machine combinations was mentioned. It talked at length about the process of combining the human brain with a computer-based neural network to create a more advanced AI. I read part of it, but it all read like a science fiction novel. The more I read, the more my head started to hurt. When I reached the end of the document, I found hundreds of comments. The first one was from the beginning of 2014. All of them were written in a similar scientific fashion. Some mentioned different stages and iterations of some weird project. It took me minutes before I got to the current year. When I finally reached the end, I found one last comment, written just the night before. Help me. I stared at it for a long time. So many things were on my mind, but none made sense. I scrolled up and down on the document again to read more of it. It wasn't long before the page refreshed itself and I got a 404 page not found error. When I tried to re-access the link list, none of the links seemed to be working anymore. When I refreshed the page, I got the same result. 404 page not found. The same is true for the page of the chatbot now. I don't know what I stumbled upon there. I don't know if I stumbled upon anything there at all. That's why I'm writing this down. Maybe some of you can help me to make a bit more sense out of it.